after you just initially get started.
Yeah, we'll just shut up the section.
Ready? Okay. Well, good afternoon. The August 26th meeting of the Liquor Control Review Board shall come to order. Let us begin by taking the roll. Commissioner Macbeth? You're muted, Commissioner.
Here.
Great. Thank you. Commissioner Phillips?
Here.
And Mayor Viss is here as well. So with 3 people present, we have a quorum and we're ready to do our work. We'll begin with an item that was omitted from the agenda, but is required pursuant to state law, public comment. I think in the course of going through the various portions of agenda item 3, we're going to hear from various applicants, so they don't have to speak up now, but is there any other member of the public who seeks to give comment at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 2 of the agenda, approval of the meeting minutes. This is probably a useful time for me to say this is my first meeting as liquor commissioner, so I'll be learning as we go. Also makes it slightly awkward for me to vote on the approval of the meeting minutes. An awkwardness that is exacerbated by the fact that we're joined by another new commissioner, Ty Phillips. So welcome aboard. Mr. Phillips and I will learn together. We'll be relying on Ms. Macbeth for a lot of institutional knowledge and education. Thank you for your continued service and for all of your work for our community. So appreciate everyone's indulgence of my first time conducting this meeting. Again, thank you to Ms. Macbeth, welcome aboard to Mr. Phillips. Thank you also for your service. And you're going to be called upon to vote on this too, even though you weren't here on April 7th. So would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the April 7th, 2021 meeting?
I move to make the motion to accept the meeting minutes.
Commissioner Macbeth moves approval
Yes.
of the April 7th meeting minutes. Is there a second?
I second that.
Commissioner Phillips seconds. And is there any discussion? Seeing none, Commissioner Macbeth?
None.
So now we'll go to the vote. Commissioner Macbeth?
I thought when we accepted it, you still want to vote fine. I vote for it.
Great, I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm new here. But
That's okay.
Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
And I vote yes also, so I'm going to vote 3-0. The minutes are approved. This brings us to item 3, new business, beginning with item 3A, which is an application for RD Pizza LLC. Before we hear from the applicant, would someone to initiate the discussion like to make a motion on this item? So this is time to move approval of the request for a Class D restaurant license for RD Pizza LLC.
Okay. So I would move to begin the process of approval then.
So Mr. Phillips moves approval of the Class D restaurant license for RD Pizza LLC. Is there a second?
I second. My problem is I am running blind because I don't have the agenda.
So
this is and I'm trying to find it. And I can't access it.
all right, so let's take a pause because I'd love for you to have the packet in front of you when we hear from the applicant. I think that's only fair to you. Let's take a pause and see if we can solve this technology issue.
Commissioner Macbeth, this is Luke from the city. In the chat box, I put a link to the packet. Are you able to get to the chat box in Zoom?
Oh, yeah. Well, let me see here. More chat box. Okay. Agenda link. Let me see if I can go back to.
I think when she clicked on the link, it dropped her camera.
Okay.
Were you able to pull up that packet?
Yeah, the problem is it's on the device that I'm on Zoom on, so I can't do both. I'm trying to switch it now to another one of my devices so I can look at it through the meeting. Is the HP, let me try this. Let me see if I can put this in. Sorry, this might take me a minute.
Commissioner Beth,
Yes,
while you're doing that, I had a question for one of the applicants. Maybe would it be appropriate to ask that now, or should I wait till?
No, I think because we'll want her to have the information in front of her when the discussion occurs, so I'd like to give her a minute to solve this. No, there's like an ATM, but you can just go in.
Miss Marion, were you able
yes,
to open up the agenda and take a look, or is that what you're doing right now?
that's what I'm trying to do right now. Your search did not match any documents.
I also sent it to you via email, so I don't know if that's,
Now, if that would work, let me see. A board of meetings, that's a Zoom. Let me see if I've gotten another email from you, checking for mail. The only mail I got from you was sent at 12:57, and that's a liquor board meeting today, and here's the Zoom link. And the passcode, there's nothing about the agenda.
yes, but it would be an email you would just received in the last minute or so here.
Okay, well, let me hold off and hopefully it gets in.
Or you might want to refresh your email
Yeah.
application.
Boy. I'll try a different device. That's not working. Got it. I think. Yeah. Did you get it in? Yeah. Do you see the juice?
No.
Okay.
Was that helpful, Commissioner Macbeth?
It's still trying to download. I mean, I got it and so, let me see this. Oh, boy. Safari cannot open this. Okay.
It is a large file, so it might take a moment.
Okay. So yeah, this time I'm going to try it on my my other laptop, and it should hopefully come across. All right. Yeah, it's something like 56 pages or something. 156 pages. All right. Timer for 3 minutes.
Well, I'm still doing stuff.
Okay. All right, I've got it.
Great. So we're on item 3A now. Commissioner Phillips made a motion to accept the application in item 3A. And if you're prepared to second the motion, then we can hear from the applicant and have a discussion. Can you second the motion?
I'm seconding the motion, yes.
Great. So Commissioner Phillips moves approval of the license request to RD, the license request to RD Pizza LLC. Commissioner Macbeth seconds. Does the applicant have a presentation to make to us?
No, not a presentation.
Or just a, yeah,
Just a.
I don't know.
You already said it during
Do I
Just
need
like
to-
kind of so you can be visible but in front of the webcam. Yeah, that's perfect.
So we're opening up a pizza shop by the Slice on Central Street at 1945 Central Street. And we hope to do some beer, wine, and cocktails.
Are there any questions for the applicant?
I have a question for the applicant.
Commissioner Phillips?
So I was looking through the materials, and you're Mr. Kim, right?
Yeah.
And let me just make sure, can the folks in the Zoom hear the question being asked?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, I'll make sure to speak up a little bit. Thank you. I noticed that your BASET certification was completed, and then Mr. DeSalvo's certification was expected to be completed this month.
Correct.
Okay, and has that been completed yet, or?
I don't know if he has or not. He's heading off to a wedding right now. So
Okay, okay. But is that still like targeted?
it will be done. It will be done.
And just for my clarification, even if we were to approve this, the license itself would not be granted until that was complete. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, as long as somebody employed by the business has best certification, that's fine. So, you know, at this point, Mr. Kim already has it, so it's not an issue.
Understood. Are there any further questions for Mr. Kim or items for discussion?
Well, you were saying that as long as he had the BASIT training, it should be all right? All of the servers should have BASIT training.
Server should have it, but, you know, for approval at this point, there needs to be one person to, for approval of the license, there has to be one person who is BASIT certified. You know, if Mr. DeSalvo plans on serving alcohol, he will need that BASIT certification. But at this point, Mr. Kim as a owner employee, somebody who can be, that's sufficient for granting the license.
Okay.
Are there further questions, further discussion? Seeing none, we'll go to the vote. Commissioner Macbeth,
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips,
Yes.
I vote yes as well, so on a vote of 3-0, the motion carries. And just again, for my own edification here, this means that there's a recommendation now to city council to approve the license. Is that correct?
Correct. I will prepare an ordinance for the September 13th meeting. I will email, I believe it's Alderman Ravel.
Yep.
And I'll CC you guys on it just to talk about details on
Oh,
that.
this is wonderful. Thank you. So September 13th is when the meeting is.
September 13th is the next city council meeting. I will be trying to prepare everything and have it on the agenda for the 13th.
That is awesome.
But to be, this is an ordinance.
It's an
So it'll
ordinance.
require a second vote after that as well.
Unless the rules are suspended, which is generally what happens.
Oh, I see.
So Alderman Ravel, that's all. I'll email her and ask if she would.
Well, the reason why I didn't answer you, I'm on a liquor control board.
Understood.
Oh, this is great. Thank you, guys.
Yep, thank you. Thank you. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Brings us to item 3B on the agenda, the request for a Class Q retirement facility license for 1815 Ridge LLC. Would someone care to make a motion on this item?
I move to make a motion for the Class Q license for Shirley Evanston, I believe. Is that right?
Okay, can I second the motion? And I second the motion. Commissioner Phillips moves approval of the Class Q license for 1815 Ridge LLC. Commissioner Biss seconds the motion. Is there someone here from 18 Ridge LLC, DBA Shirley Evanston, to speak to this application?
Hi, where are you going to stand?
You guys, we can just stay over there. If you want,
Okay.
just as long as you're visible on screen.
Hi, I'm Melissa. So we are,
Can I say your last name as well?
yeah, Melissa Cosentino, Executive Director at Julie Evanston. We're a luxury senior living community opening up soon. Independent living, assisted living, and memory care, and would like to serve alcohol to our residents.
Are there any questions for the applicant?
I have none.
I also have none. Oh, Commissioner Macbeth, were you able to hear the applicants make a very brief presentation? Go and you're muted, I'm afraid.
I couldn't, it was garbled. The sound is not real good.
Great.
So
And
could,
we're far from the mic, so if you just try to speak
Yeah.
and project.
Yeah, hi, I'm Melissa Cosentino. I'm the Executive Director at Truly Evanston. We are independent living, assisted living, and memory care, opening soon, and we'd like to provide our residents with liquor.
Do you have any questions? Yep, go ahead.
yes, is it a restaurant type of thing?
It's more of a senior living community, but we have a few different spaces. So we have a couple different restaurant options. So there's the main dining room, and then there's like our Prohibition Lounge, our 9th floor, lounge as well. So
Got it, that's what I was asking.
okay.
Fine.
Any further questions? Then I think we can go to the vote. Commissioner Macbeth?
Yes,
Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. So on a vote of 3-0, the recommendation is made to council to approve this license.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And we'll be on the same timeline. Is that-
Yeah, I will, I think it's Alderman Braithwaite, Councilmember Braithwaite,
Yeah.
so I will email him and I'll conclude you.
Okay.
Mr. Noonan, and hopefully get everything on the September 13th.
We're excited. Thank you.
Now, Mr. George, is the applicant for item 3C available?
I texted him, can I just go out and call him, just give him a call real quick? Well, I don't know that, I don't think it's required.
No, I'm not saying it's required. I was just, why don't we go to 3D first?
Yeah, that's
And
perfect.
then if he's still unavailable, then we can go, we can give him a call. So item 3D is a bit different. It's a proposal for the creation of a new L2 class ordinance for grocery stores with very small areas of alcohol sales. someone like to make a motion regarding item 3D?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and make a motion to move to discuss the ordinance amending section 346 for 2. There's no motion for this. Okay.
There's no motion to discuss. You have to move to pass. No one to pass.
Move to pass. Okay, got it.
All right, so Commissioner Phillips moves to accept the proposed new L2 class ordinance. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Great, Commissioner Macbeth seconds. And we have with us, I think, both the applicant and Councilmember Jonathan Newsma from the ward where the grocery, where the store exists. So maybe we could hear first from the applicant, or do you have a different course of action proposed, Councilmember?
Matt, happy to let you go first.
Sure. Can you all hear me okay?
Not real well.
All right, my name is, I'll try to speak up here and turn my sound all the way up here. All right, so yeah, my name is Matt Wexler, Evanston resident, and I owner of Village Farm Stand, which is in the old Hugh and Bakery space at 810 Dempster. We're 1,000 square feet. We specialize in grocery from farms within 150 miles. And some of our downstate farms that are in central Illinois recently asked us if we had interest in carrying some spirits and beer that are made from grains grown from the farmers down there and distilled in breweries that are in central Illinois. So it's an opportunity to really introduce some really unique beverages to the Evanston community. And so we're looking to apply for a license. It would take up a very small percentage of our store and our sales. So that's why I've asked Alderman Newsma to help me with creating this new class. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Councilmember, do you want to type in now?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you, Mr. George, for drafting this proposal. What we want to do here is, create a new class of license which supports local small businesses such as Village Farm Stand, understanding that the code as currently written, would force a business like Village Farm Stand into a category to compete with Trader Joe's and Valley Produce, which is really not appropriate for a small business like this. As drafted, the current ordinance, does address the needs of a small business. To the extent that we can support small businesses without, opening the door for corporate-owned entities and making life easier for them, that's not the intent here. If that is, a side effect, so be it. But in order to accomplish the intended effect, we don't need to go as high as 2,000 square feet of product display. Since Matt's store is only 1,000 square feet total, of which only a fraction would be devoted to product display. Matt, you and I talked earlier and, feel like 10 or maybe 15 square feet total floor space is what you'd be devoting to alcohol. And so if it makes sense to reduce the square footage limit in this proposed ordinance, that's something I would like to offer for consideration, understanding that the draft as written accomplishes what we need to accomplish, but maybe goes a little bit further than we need to.
Are there any questions for either presenter? Commissioner Phillips.
Yeah, I do have a question, and I guess, forgive me for being the new kid on the block here. I know there was a big controversy years ago when one of the convenience stores in the area, I think it was like 7-Eleven, had applied for the license. And I know there's, this board exists to review those applications, but if this type of license, I'm just thinking about like this type of license, we have applicants for, obviously we limit the number, and I don't understand that process fully, but what's to prevent, you know, other types of businesses that would, you know, this, that don't fall within the intent of this for applying for those types of liquor licenses, and maybe the city or the residents don't necessarily want those types of businesses, you know.
I mean, what I would say to that is, as I read the code as it stands today, without this thing having passed, there's a peculiar gap where it's kind of impossible to have a grocery store that sells liquor unless you meet a higher square footage threshold. And I'm not sure what the policy objective is achieved by that gap. I think the mechanism to achieve the goal you're talking about is us saying no.
True. Well, that's my question. Yeah.
But I'm not sure that we want to have a law that says, if you happen to be as small as these folks are, there's no license that fits for you. If you want, my own view, this is an opinion, of course, one can disagree, is that we would want to use our judgment to achieve that goal, as opposed to having no spot in the code that is even makes that conversation one that we could have.
Okay. Yeah, that's seems
Yeah.
Brian George, Assistant City Attorney. I just wanted to kind of clarify two things, or a number of things. Mr. Wexler had inquired about the possibility of obtaining a liquor license for Village Farm Stand, but I wouldn't want to call him an applicant here, because he's not applying for anything. So the L2 the proposed L2 license is really contemplated as being a license for multiple grocery stores, not just a license for Mr. Wexler's business. So I just wanted to clarify that. And so that's something that the board in the future city council should probably consider, is when they're approving this L2 license, and this is something that you kind of touched upon and Councilmember Newsma had mentioned. This class of license is sort of created for all grocery stores within this sort of square footage proposal. So it's not just, so if the idea was to reduce it to, you know, Mr. Wexler said 25, 30 might be sufficient for him. And a provision in the code just allowing 1 square feet of product display, it just adds to the complexity of the code and just basically be carving out a niche for, you know, a single grocery store. And if that's something the city wants to do, then, you know, so be it. But it's just something that the board and the city council should consider whether they.
Sorry, Attorney George, I was having a hard time catching that last part, which seemed to be fairly important. Could you repeat that, please?
I think that is reducing the square footage to say like 25, which is, I believe we said Mr. Wexler's business would be contemplating. It's just something that the city council and the board should consider, whether they want to create a new class of license just for 0 to 25 square foot, because you're just creating just tiny little subgroups of liquor license. What's the next grocery store is once. You know,
I have a
minimize.
concern.
Go ahead.
I have a concern about the small size, because then it becomes very important as to where the liquor is placed. So there's not easy access in from the street, pick up a bottle and go. So, and we've dealt with this before with the access, and this was a larger store, this was Aldi's. So I have a concern about that. And my question is too, such a small grocery store. Now, you said something about it was for local produce type of things from the local farmers. So is it going to be mainly produce type of things, not meat and what normally would be carried at a grocery store?
So our grocery store, we do carry meats as well. We carry pantry items, we carry grains, we carry dairy products. And yeah, these are all products that are coming from the Midwest region.
Okay, so then when you talk about liquor license, are you talking beer, wine, or you're talking all liquor, hard liquor and everything. It's a small space to me. You would be a very limited type of thing as to what you know, how much you could stock.
Yeah, we would not be looking to stock very much. The opportunity we have currently with the farms that we work with is with beer and liquor. And currently the way our store operates is all the product is kept in the back 2/3 of the store. So it's out of reach for customers. It's not, one of our staff members would have to bring the liquor or the beer.
Look at me.
Got it. That answered some of my questions. Sorry, I have a granddaughter who had to go get blood taken. So I'm back.
Great.
Okay.
I think both of you might have some. Do you have?
I just had, it's not a question, but because Brian's work too, I noticed that there are 2 columns in table 346, the city ordinance, for on-site and off-site consumption. I think they're switched on the draft because it says liquor on-site and none off-site. I think that's backwards.
Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Let me just pull it up.
What page is it on?
On the in the packet, so the draft shows, if you actually look at the table of the city ordinance, one side is the first column, on-site consumption, and off-site consumption is the second column. I think it's so I think it would be obvious once you try to plug in the table, right, that they're backwards. I just wanted to point that out now.
Okay, thank you. Might need to, just make an amendment to switch those around to the appropriate spots.
So before we even go on to discussion, could you make that amendment? Say, like, oh, can I do this? So I move that we amend the proposed license by switching the 2 columns described so that now the on-site column reads none and the off-site column reads liquor. Is there a second? I second that. Is there any discussion about that amendment? Seeing none, Commissioner Macbeth?
I agree.
Great. Commissioner Phillips? I agree. And I vote aye as well. So on a 3-0 vote, the underlying proposal is amended. So that error is corrected. So the discussion can continue. Do you have anything else you want to ask? Commissioner Macbeth, do you have other questions?
I'm good.
I had 2 questions. First of all, for the potential future applicants, we'll call them. This isn't really our problem so much, Matt, but it just, my ears did kind of perk up when you said that you have a relationship with a farm that is doing their own distilling, or perhaps brewing, or perhaps both. Pursuant to state statutes, I mean, the whole process of distribution is complex. Do you have a legal mechanism to purchase directly from the manufacturer? Or do you have to work through a distributor to make that happen?
I'll clarify that the product's not actually coming from the farm. The original product's coming from, so the grains or the rye, the barley that then gets distilled is being purchased by a distillery that is licensed by the state and is licensed to sell within the state and beyond. So the product's actually coming from local breweries, local distilleries in the central Illinois region. And we'd likely carry some product from craft breweries in the Chicagoland area as well. So yeah, all the products that we would be carrying would not be coming direct from the farms. The farms that that deliver the produce, one in particular that acts as a distributor for all of our central Illinois farms would be the ones that would be delivering the product to us.
Understood. Thank you. And then on that point, I guess I really have to ask the mayor question, because as soon as I leave this room, I'll become the mayor again, for better or for worse. You talked about also potentially purchasing product that's manufactured in the Chicago area. Of course, we have both a distillery and several breweries here in Evanston. Do you have any thoughts about carrying that product?
I'd certainly love to carry products from Temperance, Sketchbook. I'm a consumer of all those myself. I'm literally a neighbor of the owner of Sketchbook, so we talk regularly, and I part of the mission of what we do at Village Farm Stand is to support the local community. We currently sell art made by artists in the community, pottery by local makers, and so yeah, that would certainly be part of what I'd like to do as well.
Thank you. My second question is for Councilmember Nusma. You floated a suggestion to significantly lower the number from 2,000 to something way smaller, because that's all that would be needed, certainly by the Village Farm Stand. Are you suggesting that as a preferred approach that you would like us to take? Or are you just saying that's an option in case people have a problem with the approach currently before us?
You're muted, Councilmember.
Jonathan, you're muted.
Sorry, understanding Attorney George's comment that we don't want to create a separate class of license for each individual applicant or potential applicant. If it were up to me, I would limit this. I would reduce the maximum square footage to something significantly smaller, which addresses the need at hand and leaves the leaves the door open for any applicant who wants to have a fairly small retail presence for alcoholic beverages without opening the door opening the door wide for 7-Elevens and convenience stores, which, as someone else had indicated, might be more controversial.
Okay. All right, thank you for the clarification. If anyone wants to make such a motion, I'm happy to entertain it. And if not, we'll go to the vote. Okay, seeing none. Any further questions from the board?
No further questions here.
All right, let's go to the vote. Commissioner Macbeth,
I'm okay with it.
Commissioner Phillips,
Agreed.
and I vote aye. So I'll vote 3-0. This passes, and I imagine this is the same situation that this would be before the council on September 13th.
Correct.
It would probably be less conventional for this to be.
It would be going for 2 times.
So you're familiar with this process now. This will now go before council on September 13th, and should it pass then, it would come up for a second vote on, I guess, September 27th, at which point this license would then exist, and then someone could apply for it.
Thank you all for putting your time and effort into this, and I raised the questions about this just not too long ago. So thank you very much we're a small business and for attending to our needs. I really appreciate it.
Point of order, noticing that one of the other applicants in this packet had a TBD in the class of license. I wonder if is there anything preventing Village Farm Stand from submitting an application now, just to start that ball rolling. And as soon as it's official with this new class, we can process that application.
Is the TBD for coffee, because those have the class of licenses all been clarified by the time the liquor board meeting happened.
Right. Okay.
All of the applications. So when the initial application was submitted, there's a TBD, and I guess it was not updated with an actual the form actually wasn't updated with the class B in there, but they have submitted for a license that exists.
But could Matt at least start filing some paperwork sooner rather than later?
Oh yeah, he definitely can get the process started. These applications, they don't happen overnight, so it is a time-consuming process. So if you want to give me shoot me an email, like I can help you get the process started, send you the links to the city's website with the application and everything.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. Yes.
No problem.
Great. Thanks so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Your answers. That was very helpful. So that brings us now to item 3C. Do we have anybody from the board here? Oh, perfect. All right, so we've now come to item 3C on the agenda. Would anyone care to make a motion on this item?
I'll make a motion to open the discussion on Forbes application for a Class D restaurant license.
So Commissioner Phillips moves the approval of the Class D restaurant license for Applicants 4 LLC. Is there a second?
I second it.
Thank you very much. And now please go ahead and share some information with us.
Hi, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
So my name is John Stumbow. I'm one of the owners of Evanston Pour. We are extremely excited to bring a coffee shop back to 528 Dempster, which is at Chicago and Dempster Street, that corner. The previous tenant was there for almost 25 years, so we've got some big shoes to fill. So we are proposing to bring a coffee and tea shop back to that space. We'd like to offer a small plate food menu. And today we are requesting a liquor license to serve beer, wine, and cocktails in our space. By having the liquor license, this would allow us to offer expanded hours and items to our patrons.
Great. Are there any questions for the applicant? Here. Commissioner Beth, do you have any questions for the applicant? Nor do I. So thanks for joining us, and I think we're ready to take a vote. So Commissioner Macbeth?
It's fine.
Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well, so on a 3-0 vote. The motion to recommend approval of the Class D license to Evanston Port LLC will go to the City Council on September 13th, where again, as Attorney Thorpe indicated, the customary practice would be for the Councilmember Wynn to request a suspension of the rules, so we do it all in one night. If that occurs, then this license will be granted as of that.
Okay.
Good luck to you, and thanks for being here this afternoon.
Everyone, thank you for your time. I hope to see you guys all in our shop.
We look forward to it.
Yeah.
And with that, seeing no further business to come before the Liquor Control Review Board, the meeting stands adjourned.